So today I want to share with you how to open an Excel spreadsheet, how to input some information, input some formulas, including sum the total, average, such like, and how to create a chart. So in order to do this, let me share my screen with you. I'm going to share my entire screen here so you can see how to open Access in the first instance. We would go to our start bar down here at the bottom. Okay, so start bar. And I have Excel pinned as a tile up here. You may have to scroll down and find it alphabetically within your start menu, but I've got mine started up here. So Excel. I want a blank workbook, so I'm just going to click on that. And a blank workbook now opens for me. So first things first, I always save my file to start with so that if anything happens, internet connection gets lost or electricity power cut, I have my work saved. So first things first, file, save, and then choose where you want to save it. In this instance, I'm saving mine to my OneDrive. Okay, this is my OneDrive here, and I should have a practice. I think, do I have practice? NC admin practice. So I'm going to go in here and save this. So let's make this one Eric expenses. Okay, that's it. And you can see now, top of the screen up here, we have Eric's expenses, and that's it saved. So any work I do from now on will be saved there. I can save regularly just by clicking my Control and S button, or by clicking my File Save button. Okay, so File, Save. Go. Okay, so we shall give this a title. Caps lock on, Eric expenses. I'm going to come down here. As I was saying previously, each cell within Excel has an address. So you can see this is a column, column A, column B, column C, and here we have row 1, 2, 3. For instance, when I sit in here in this little cell, this is A1. I sit down here, that's A6, and these are the addresses, if you like, of each individual cell within Excel. What I want to do is insert some information. So let's see. Quarter 1, quarter 2. Remember, quarters are financial periods for the year, 4 quarters in the year. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Eric's expenses for the year. Quarter 3, quarter 4. And the individual expenses that we put down here, what we have: travel, stationery. Okay, what other kind of expenses could you have? Meals. So, I think that'll do just now. Okay. We could have electric if he's working from home. Let's give him that. Electric, broadband. Okay. Eric's working from home because of COVID. You can see straight away that some of these words are exceeding the boundaries of the cell. Okay, so broadband, for instance, is larger than the cell that it's in. So in order to make this row accommodate these larger words, what we do is we come up here, sit on the A. You don't need your left mouse button, just move your mouse up there. And when you move to the right-hand side, left click and then drag that over. And that allows you to reset the width of the column. You can do the same with rows as well. If I sit on row 1, come down, I could drag that down, make Eric's expenses rather large there. Okay. Now I'm going to want the headings in bold here. So I can either left click on row 3 and apply bold to the entire row. Okay, so anything else that I type in this row will now become bold as well. And I could do the same with column A. Okay, anything in this column will become bold. Or equally, I can just sit in the first area that I want, use my left mouse button to drag down. Okay, left mouse button, drag down. It's a bit of a mistake. That shows you, okay, and that actually copies everything that you do. So let's undo. This is my undo button up at the top. Undo. What I want to do is sit here and using my shift key, highlight the different areas and then B for bold. Okay, that's it. If you sit in a cell, use the left mouse key and copy down. It just repeats everything you've got in the top cell. So you can see I've now put travel in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay. If you do make a mistake, it's really easy to rectify it. Just use the undo button at the top of your screen to undo. Okay. Undo. Right, so Q1, what was Eric's travel? Okay, pre-pandemic, let's give him quite a lot of travel. Okay, so we had £250.36. Q2, halfway through pandemic, and a little bit, no, March, April, May, June, no travel at all, so we'll give them 0 for that. Okay, Q3, restrictions lifted a little bit, we'll give them £135.20 travel, and Q4, let's anticipate what he's going to spend. Okay, £165.30. Okay, stationery. We could just make up some amounts for here, so £25. There we go. Meals first quarter he used quite a lot. Okay, so £86. Okay, second quarter he was at home, 0. Third quarter less. Electric. First quarter Eric was based in the office, so very little. Second quarter pandemic, so he was working from home, so let's make that. Third quarter half at home, half in the office, so and broadband. Nothing for the first quarter. Second quarter, how much a month did he spend? About £60. Let's see for the quarter, and we shall continue with that. Eric needs broadband to work from home. What we can see now is the layout of these figures. Some of them have decimal points in 2 spaces, some don't have decimal points. So what we want to do is make sure that they all appear the same way. And these are financial figures, so I want them with 2 decimal points, either with or without pound signs, doesn't matter. Again, sit here, okay, and in the actual cell, use your left mouse button, go along and down. Remember, sit in the actual cell to do that. Do not use the little cross button at the bottom, because what you'll do is just repeat everything in the cell in the others. So sit in the actual cell, depress the left mouse button, come along and down. Okay, there we go. And what I want to do is look at the format. Okay, look at the format up here, format. And I want the format of my cells. Here we go, format cells. And I actually want currency now, so I'm choosing currency. It will give me a default setting of with the pound. I don't actually want the pound sign, so I'm going to take that off, and 2 decimal places. Make sure there's 2 decimal places because we work in pounds and pence. Press OK, and you can see that's come up. Okay, good. Right, now what I want to do is find out how much for Q1, how much for Q2, Q3, Q4, and also how much we have going along for travel, okay, throughout the year. So down here, let's put in total. Okay, there we go, total. And as you can see, because I'd highlighted column A previously and told everything in here was to be bold, then the total comes up bold as well. Right, how do I add this up? I could get my phone out and use my calculator. I could add it up in my head, but that's the purpose of Excel. We want Excel to do the adding and the mathematical calculations for you. So in here we enter what is called a function. Okay, so insert a function or a formula. Okay, there's a formula button up here that you can see, and Autosum is exactly as it says. It sums up everything in that line or that row. So if I press here, okay, press sum, you can see it highlights these areas, and I just press enter on my keyboard and the total comes up. If I want to repeat that sum, I'm going across the way, sit in the left mouse sit in the cell and using your left mouse button with the little X on the bottom, drag it all the way across. And you can see in here we have our equals. Equals shows that there's going to be a formula present, okay, some type of mathematical formula. So this is equal sum. Sum gives you a total, and it's B4 to B9. So this cell B4, this is cell down here, B9, okay. If I wanted it just cell B4 to B8, because there's nothing down here, then I can sit here, go up here, and change that to B8. There we go. And that means that it will just leave this box blank. If I put something in this area, it's going to ignore it. Okay. It's actually, Excel has decided that it knows what I want, and it's decided it is going to include cell B9 in here. Okay, so that's a new feature of Excel. I don't want anything in there. B4, B8, there we go. And I can, again, just copy this over. Okay, equally, over here, I can have annual total. And again, I'm on the formulas button up here. Normally, you would be sitting on the home key, home tab, but in order to insert a mathematical function, we go to formulas, okay? And this one is Autosum, so I click here and press sum. And again, Excel predicts what I want. It knows that there's no figures above it, so it's taking the figures to the left, which are on the row. Press enter, and that's it. And sit here, click, and down we come. And it will give us the total. Total stationery for the year, total meals for the year, total electric for the year, and the total for the year, full stop. Okay, I will delete this one here because there's nothing in that row, so I have deleted it. Now what we can see is annual total is again too big for this cell, but I don't want to make my cells much bigger because that doesn't look right. Okay, so I'm going to undo that, take it back. What I want to do instead is sit in here, and I want, back to the home tab, I want to align the writing in this box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I can alignment here, press the alignment button, okay, or in fact you don't need to press the alignment button, the wrap text button's up here. So what we want to do is wrap the text so that it appears like that. There we go. So you can see that's automatically made my row deeper, but it looks so much nicer. Final thing that I want to do here is make sure that there is some grid lines on this area so that I can read it properly. So sit in the left button, keep your left, sit in the top cell, keep your left mouse button pressed and come across and all the way down. And then where I've got my lines here, borders, okay, I can put borders in there. So at the moment I'm going to put thick outside borders for everything. So you can see a thick outside border. And this section here, I'm going to put all borders in so that I can easily distinguish between the different cells. Okay, I can play about this in different ways. If I wanted everything in the writing in these cells to be right aligned, then what I would do is use my right align box here. There you go, see, right aligned. And that's in line with the figures, because if you think about it, there's a space at the start, all figures are right aligned. Okay, there we go. The words here should be left aligned. And that's Eric's expenses. Now what I want to do is create a chart showing Eric's expenses. So I'm going to go on to a new worksheet. Okay, these are your worksheets down below. Okay, it's an Excel spreadsheet altogether, the entire file, if you like, or document. But these are your separate worksheets, and you can have as many as you want to come across here. Okay, so this one, what I will do is rename it. So I sit down here, right click, and I'm going to rename. And there we go. And I'll call it expenses 2020. There we go. Okay. I want to create a new worksheet. Just go here, click the tab, and again, I can sit here, right click, rename, and this one I'm going to call its chart expenses bar chart. Okay, I'm going to create a bar chart showing our expenses. So in order to create the bar chart, sit somewhere in here on the home tab up here. I want to go to insert key, okay, and I'm going to go, won't bother taking a recommended chart, I'm going to choose a bar chart here, so chart, and I think I will take a chart this way, okay, 3D column, I think I'll use 3D this time, no, 2D, make it easier, okay, you can see we have a blank area in here for the chart. That's because the chart doesn't yet know what data I want to create the chart with. So what we have to do is go up here to select data, okay? And it's asking me for the data range. So all I have to do now is click and highlight. So back down, click on expenses and highlight the data that I want, okay? So I'm not going to include any of the totals, okay? This is a bar chart showing comparison, so we don't need totals in for this. Fit and travel, left mouse button down, come along, here we go. Actually, guys, come up to the top so that we've got the quarters in as well, okay? So up to the top, left mouse button down, along, and down like this, okay? There we go. And you can see the data range now is equal expenses 2020, which is the name of this worksheet down here, and it's given me the address A3 to E8. So that's A3 to E8. That's my address. Okay. Press OK, and here we go. Chart has appeared. Great. Excellent. But that chart doesn't mean anything unless I know what it's telling me. So what I want to do is give it a title. So I'm going to come in here. Type in here, sorry, Eric expenses 2020. Okay, that's great. And what I would quite like to do is let people know what the 300, 250, 200 is. I mean, that could be anything. That could be sweets. It could be pounds and pence. It could be the amount of times that I've had flights cancelled due to the pandemic. Okay, and Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, we can put down here what that is as well. So if I come here, chart elements, axis titles, you can see if I tick that, we've got axis titles appearing, and all I need to do is type in here, where's the word axis title, and type in here, I'm going to put a pound sign in there so people know this is money, and down here, okay, these, my apologies. I've accidentally taken that off, axis title, okay, axis title, so this is orders, like, and here we go, pound sign, that's it, okay. But again, this chart means nothing because what's the blue? What's the orange? What's the grey? We don't know how much anything is. So what we do is we can put down data labels. It tells us everything. No, that's far too messy. We don't want that. We don't want the data table underneath either. Again, it looks far too messy. So what we do want is legend. Okay, legend. So tick legend. And you can see it tells us blue is travel, orange is stationery, grey is meals, yellow is electric, and remember there was no electric nor broadband in Q1. That was pre-pandemic. Okay, great stuff. Now I want to save Eric's expenses, so Control S and it's saved. My Control button and my S button, a very quick way to save. Okay, or equally, you can just press this little disk space up here and that will save it for you as well. Let me stop sharing and come back to you guys. And that is how you create an Excel spreadsheet and including charts. Okay.